We have done it. We have gone live.
This is now. Here we are. Right?
Is there more to that song, or is that just it?
Here's the moment. We're here. Doing now. Now is happening right now. I don't know. That's the song as it stands for this moment.
What did you say? You said something to me recently about a song.
I did.
Do we want to tease about it a little?
We can tease about it. I have no idea when people will be hearing it, but I did contact a person who was able to do such things as write theme songs, to write our theme song. I told you about that, right?
Yes.
And so I expressed some things that are important. We talked about what is important to you in a theme song, Nicholas?
Well, I suppose it depends on the show, but for this show,
right.
The thing that you and I have I think both kind of been on the same page about this from the beginning,
right,
is the Muppet Show theme.
Yes.
With like a little bit of Seinfeld.
Yeah, some boopity boops and sugar like percussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's time to light the lights, right? Yeah. I'm
Couch Potato
a living
show!
Muppet anyway.
I think the important part is the show.
Yes, exactly. The Enlightened Couch Potato show. My sister always used to say that I was like a living Muppet anyway, because even when I was little, I would tell jokes and then I would go, like, and they do that, right? Like the Muppets like joke, and I'd be like,
Totally. Plus, we both watched a lot of olden times shows from the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. We did. And there are a lot of like horn sections and things from there. So that's her driving force. I also played for her the theme song from Gentleman Jack because they haven't watched this show yet, and I talked about it many weeks, months, years ago in COVID world at this point. And there's rhythm stuff that's like it's several catchy themes that go together, and you just like you can't help but to move and bounce. And so we've got some cool crap happening.
I'm very excited.
So I'm excited.
Let's talk logistical here. So once we have the theme song, is that when we're gonna like take this backlog and turn it into actual podcasts, or just is it forever gonna live here on Facebook?
Yes. So there are two. So theme song, which includes like the tag at the end for credits, and then someone who exists and can do things needs to take and create the intro visual.
Like an animated logo kind of thing. Yeah.
Animated thing for the YouTube channel to like start, and the credits reels. And once those things exist, then some human goes and grabs the stuff and puts them on YouTube. I think, will I edit the audio for the podcast? So there will be podcasts somewhere and YouTube videos somewhere. I have a friend that's been doing my other shows for the audio, and I might just do that so that there's something off my plate. It turns out, I don't know if you're aware, I think you're aware, but you, viewer, are you aware of how long video editing and audio editing?
There's a reason why we do these like live, because then you can just take the live performance and you don't have to go through and cut. Oh, wait, I got to redo that part. God damn it. I just recently outsourced my video editing for my other podcast, and it's like the podcast is 45 minutes to an hour, right? Yeah. But it's at least 2 to 3 hours additional time to get the thing edited, uploaded, to come up with a YouTube thumbnail, to write the description and the title. Look, I'm not complaining. I like doing this. This is fun. And at some point, outsourcing is important.
That's a lot better than my numbers. On my show From the Hip with Adrianne Gunn, when we were pre-shooting and then editing and adding all the stuff, writing the copy, and then doing clips,
Right. The
so
clips
that people would watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different.
So writing clips, writing copy, writing descriptions, coming up with thumbnails. There were two of us working on that. Between the two of us, shit, if we went from like shooting time, setting up cameras and shooting, plus interview, plus editing, it was 15 to 25 hours per episode.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah, depending on
can't be done. That's a part-time fucking job. Yes. Doing one episode a week. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a lot. And with that project, it was really hard for me because the whole point of that project was to I love talking to people, and it was about capturing an earnest conversation arc, right? Just and we get into whatever we get into. Two interesting people talking about whatever they talk about at the time. But I found myself, because I love talking to people, I found myself alone at my computer for 20 hours a week for something that's about how much I love talking to people and connecting. And I'm like, yeah. But I can, I have tools to get over that sensation of how much
the point is not that even learning to love it, because I have actually grown to enjoy the art of editing. It's kind of fun, and I'm especially now starting to play with more artistic things and creative ways to edit, and not just like cut, put, that done. But it's just a matter of timing. It's that Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week stuff where you gotta decide, is this a thing that only I can do? Or is it something that even if someone else won't do it quite as well as I will, at least it frees me up to be focused on the things that only I can do. Like the podcast itself and the other podcast that I do. And so here's another logistical question, because I don't know why I'm having these conversations live, but
sure. Here we are.
So have you looked into any other podcasts that you feel like once we are like, boom, we have 35 episodes uploaded? Have you thought about other podcasts that we could like poke and say, hey, would you be interested in having us come on your podcast or having you come on our podcast? It seems like that's probably the fastest way to like get more eyeballs and earballs.
Sure. No, but I did have this daydream 2 days ago that I think it was like a couple weeks ago. I saw an article about Netflix opening. They're buying property in New Mexico, Albuquerque specifically.
Oh, yes. I heard about that.
And I was like, you know what Netflix needs? Netflix needs our show for no good reason. And they need to pay us to do our show. And we can just specifically be assigned to watch Netflix stuff and then do more straight to camera. Like, that's what I decided. That was my daydream.
Love you so much.
Because then I'm like, oh, sure. I suppose I'll move to Albuquerque and then have a studio with editors and other people there. I guess I could do that.
The Enlightened Couch Potato Show. Netflix presents The Enlightened Couch Potato Show.
Yep. Yeah. And they can throw us all their weird holiday movies and rom-coms and other stuff they're producing. The reality shows. We can get into it.
Yeah.
I would do it. You'd be other guests on.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, but beyond just being handed fuck tons of money from people who actually know what they're doing and turning over the production. No, I have not thought of. I've thought of different humans that might be more available right now that we could talk to. I'd love to do like have guests on and have them talk to us about their, movies and TV they're made of. I thought that's an easy thing to do. And then what are they watching? So, yeah,
it would be fun. I wonder if I have any gets, you know what I mean, from a celebrity perspective. I'm a couple degrees of separation away from some pretty big names, but none of them I'm on a like, hey, will you come on my podcast? Especially, hey, will you come on my tiny little podcast? Yeah. But I think I have some people. Think about it this way: I do have some people who I would love to talk to about this, and not that anybody else would know who they are, but I know that they would have some really interesting things to say about this idea that movies and TV and stories can be a transformational tool and experience. So, yeah. Well, put a pin in it and come back.
I think there are also still some gettable, really bored actors out there.
Probably.
Who we can talk to.
Yeah.
And maybe if we get into researching, we could probably find some showrunners.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk to writers and directors too, not just actors. I mean, actors I know are more forward facing. They have more name recognition. But I mean, I want to hear people who are in the artistic and not so much the personal development world pontificate about the power of stories. Like, I know that there are people who have thought about this more than us, and to hear what are the movies that have most transformed you? What are the what are those experiences you had where you came out of an experience a different person? And maybe even talk to them about the experience of making. I mean, I don't know. That feels like I've seen that before. Like, I know that people talk about the transformational experience of making art, but consuming art is the point. That's kind of our thing, is being the consumer doesn't just make you lazy and an entertainment, couch potato. You can be an enlightened couch potato.
Yes. I have Post-its on my wall that I put up there way before we ever talked about this show. I think I put them up there maybe even a year before we talked about the show, because I wanted to go to Comic-Cons and other conventions and lead a panel and lead a lecture and lead a like question actors and lead a panel about some of these topics. And specifically, I'm looking over themes of dark and light, innocence lost, and redemption and forgiveness is one of the things that's on my Post-it. It's been there for at this point, maybe 2 years. And then using TV and then there's as a spiritual awakening, but then I've got weird, I don't know what, written in the top, a path to scribble, just great idea, smack, because I'm a Post-it person. You don't see them here. They're hiding on my desk, stuck to monitors. This is not as overwhelming as past, more manic Adrianne was, but so I think we could probably, since a lot of panels have moved, if we could figure out what, heroes and villains and a bunch of other Comic-Con or things that exist once we have a channel and we get the some number of humans, we're we want to teach this panel. Do you want content? Because there are people who are moving, although they're on Twitch. I don't get it. I don't know how to use it. A lot of them are on Twitch and other places that the young people use.
Yeah, there's a few of those newer ones that I'm
So yeah, I can look in that direction. There were a couple heroes and villains and Klexicon and others that I wanted to be a part of. I was poised to be applying in February, March, and I was working on TED before COVID hit. And I'm hey, who knows what the world's gonna do?
No TEDs anymore. Well, I don't know why I decided to have that conversation here. Do you want to start the show?
Oh my God. Sure. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hello, and welcome to the Enlightened Couch Potato Show. I'm Nicholas Rave, and this is
Adrianne Gunn.
And Adrianne, what do we do here?
Well, what we do is we pontificate about television and movies in such a way that we help people figure out how to watch movies and television for maximum psychological and spiritual development.
Nailed it.
Maximological, developability, and change.
Maximological.
Yes, it's cool. I verb things and I create new words. I am excited. Last episode we had homework and we finished it. Did you finish Laurel Canyon?
I didn't yet. I know, I'm so bad.
You wrote a paper on reading the first third.
Well, I watched like half of it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm bad. I didn't do my homework.
It's all right. So we did our homework, and then we were talking the other day, and we're like, we didn't give each other homework to come to this episode with.
So do you want to pick a new thing, and I'll finish that, and then we can pick something while we're on the show? What do I want to make Adrianne watch?
It's like Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
Except maybe less nudity.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what I make you watch, I guess.
Oh, I guess that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about The Fountain. I do want to discuss that at some point. Did you watch Peaceful Warrior? I can't remember.
Oh, I'm listening to the book again.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
God damn it. It's so good.
Yeah. I think it would be better if I was reading it. I've come to that realization that right now it's much easier for me to listen to books while I'm driving or walking or like doing breakfast and stuff in the morning while other things are happening. And I am supremely aware that because they are not, it's not like scanning in my eyeballs, which is how I taught myself to take in information, that it's not going in as deeply. It doesn't feel the same. And I'm also aware that if I instill the habit of, as I learn something interesting, even from hearing it, if I turned around and made a video about it or wrote a blog or did something with it, then I would be integrating it.
Yeah.
But instead of that, occasionally I talk to friends and that kind of helps. And mostly I have forgotten so many wonderful things I've learned in these past years of listening to audiobooks. Oops.
I have always had this thought that audio books, the strategy for listening to a storyteller tell you a story is much older than the written word. And in that sense, we have strategies for going on that journey that is more surrendered in a sense, I think, than reading the book. When you're reading the book, if you read a sentence and you're like, wait, what did that just say? Like you go back and yes, of course you can rewind it, but you couldn't necessarily do that when you were sitting around the campfire. So there's something more ephemeral than reading with listening, I think.
Yeah. And it's true. The difference for me is that so when I read, I do read quickly and I hear a voice in my head. So it's not like I'm not doing an auditory version of what I'm reading in a book, but now I also have the visual. So Adrianne seems to have, it's not photogenic completely memory, but I do have, when I heard that thought, I also saw these shapes and it stores differently when I'm reading it, because I'm like, oh yeah, in chapter 2, it was this shape. It works even when I'm reading like Kindle. I use the Kindle Cloud Reader. So most recent thing I read was Ben Greenfield, and I'm like, oh yeah, he was talking about the tests that you can do that match. If you don't, get a P test for neurotransmitters, you can take these quizzes, and it's this shape. And I'm like, I think that's a chapter, whatever. And I found it really quickly after remembering the thing. And so there's, in school world, I could visualize where I'd read the information that I was now going to discuss. So I had questions. So there's a visual in my head and I would have questions and I have a conversation about it. And then I'd write some notes, right? So when I was taking my tests, I could see the shape of where it was in the reading. I could hear the conversation and I knew what color people's shirts were, where I was in the room. And then because I'd written it out, I could just it was just like taking on kinesthetic, auditory, and visual together.
Yeah.
And that's not happening when I'm listening to a book while cooking breakfast and yelling at my cat. It's a little different.
I have heard that even the difference between digital e-readers and a physical book, actually the information gets stored differently, because things as subtle as how many pages you're holding on to in each hand as you're holding the book, it like tells you how far in the book you were, and you don't remember it consciously, but you know where it was on the page and things like that. Weird question. Have you ever tried reading a book with your eyes while listening to it?
Not yet.
I have done that a couple of times, and I don't I don't find it to be particularly more useful than one or the other. But I have tried it a couple of times with different things that I was like, I want to experiment with this.
Yeah.
I could imagine that it might be helpful for somebody, but it slows down your visual. And I often find I just kind of get distracted between the two, but I did try it because I'm weird like that.
I do better on long distance drives. Like I listened to Glennon Doyle's recent book On the Way to the Coast when no one was going to the coast. And that was magical. That was a trance, and that was really powerful. Could not tell you any of the concepts, but it felt cool.
Yeah.
We're just in here. I think other people said her book's pretty good. Untamed, it's like #1 on the thing for sense.
Oh, really? Is it nonfiction or fiction?
Nonfiction. Yeah. It's a lot about how we've been trained to be small and quiet, and more specifically women, but also she does get very specific about what's happening to boys and men too in our culture, and what it means to become wild again. And belong to yourself. It's pretty fantastic.
Cool.
But that's not what we were watching.
No. So you want to go? I don't.
We were going to assign each other a thing.
Oh yeah. I don't have a lot of interesting things to talk about that I have been watching. But what do I want to have you watch? So The Fountain would be fun to talk about. I've seen it many times. It's very deep. There's a lot of symbolism there. We can cut very deep. It's probably not the most entertaining of movies. I did make you watch Speed Racer last time, which I think is very high on the entertainment factor and maybe overwhelmingly so.
Yeah, I got the idea. I remembered what the idea was. It was in the bathroom. And the idea is we assign each other our favorite holiday movie.
Oh yeah. Okay. So can I just start rattling off like options? Because we have to find one that you haven't seen, right?
Do I have to not see it, or just re-see it?
No, I guess that would be good. So, but I'm not sure though. So let me rattle off a few, and then we'll.
My guess is Die Hard.
Well, Die Hard is on my holiday list, but I don't watch it every year. Gremlins is the big one this year that we're going to be watching because the boys 9 and 11 years old, one of them is he wants to watch it.
Oh.
And he thinks that he's ready. So we're testing him with progressively scarier and scarier movies, and Gremlins is one of those 80s movies that don't pull any punches. Like kids in the 80s we're gonna scare the pants off of you.
Oh my god.
So no, but the only movie that I think we watch almost every single year is Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh great. I don't know if I've actually seen that. Isn't that weird?
It's obviously the Christmas Carol story. But it's fucking Michael Caine. Yeah. Michael Caine as Scrooge. Nice. And then all the cast of Muppets doing their irreverent meta humor. And it's to me, it's peak. There was like a Muppet Renaissance when they did that one, and they did Treasure Island, which is also quite good. The Muppet Treasure Island. But Christmas Carol is so sweet, and it's a weird. We should watch that and then talk about the morality of the story of Christmas Carol, because I've never read the book, and I've always wondered if the emphasis in the book is different than the way that they make the movies. Sure, because that movie's been done freaking 12 times or something.
Well, and then there's Scrooged, and then there's a bunch of other plays on it. I think I saw a movie last year, which was the Ghosts of Girlfriends Past or something. It was like this Scrooge tale on, and it wasn't just Christmas. It was just like somebody ends up going to a family member's wedding, but they were not invited because they're just sort of. I think I talked about it on the show. This is feeling kind of familiar.
There was a movie that I didn't see about, I believe, Charles Dickens and the writing of A Christmas Carol called The Man Who Invented Christmas. and I heard it was great. That like before that book changed the world. It changed the way people celebrated Christmas. So I haven't seen that one. I've heard it's good though. So okay, so holiday movie. Is there anything?
I mean, I would watch that.
So that's probably great, but I want to see if there's a gem for you.
Let's look.
So, White Christmas, Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. That's a classic family one that we used to watch. What about you? I don't think there's others. I mean, Muppet Christmas Carol is definitely the holiday movie of our like household.
So my holiday movie is I love that I also am like getting floods of like, oh yeah, this one I want. But every year, I think since maybe 97 or 98, I watched Mixed Nuts. Mixed Nuts is my holiday tradition, like Christmas Eve specifically is when I usually watch it because it's set on Christmas.
That one?
Steve Martin and it's not Ann Wilson because that's the singer from Heart. Julliette Lewis, Anthony LaPaglia, freaking Adam Sandler, Madaline Kahn, the director whose name I'm not remembering,
Carl Reiner,
the younger one,
Rob Reiner. I don't think I've seen it.
Gary
so
Shandling.
yes, I'll take it. If that's your movie, I think this is perfect.
Mixed Nuts and Muppet Christmas. Okay.
All right. Hey, awesome. It's beginning of December. Now's the time.
Totally. Oh, when was the Muppet Christmas Carol done?
Oh man. I'm gonna say 1998, and then I'm gonna look it up and see if I'm right.
Mixed Nuts is 95, and what's delightful about it is it's so very the 90s. And anybody?
Oh, nope, 92. Sorry. Okay, so I was 9 when this came out.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's actually kind of what I was thinking.
Brilliant. I'm excited.
It's really fun.
Mixed Nuts is super dated, but if you like Noises Off, and I know that we've talked about how you do, I think you will dig it.
Okay.
It's an Efron movie. I think it's Delia Efron, and maybe Nora helped. So Nora Ephron.
Well, Steve Martin, I know I have seen the cover many times, and I think it was a window where I wasn't watching those kinds of movies at that age. And then by the time I got to the point where I was like, oh my God, Steve Martin is a genius, it was not high on the list of ones I was going to go back and like classic Steve Martin movies.
Totally.
But maybe it is. Maybe I just have been missing out. So
yeah, I think it lands in an interesting place in Steve's career. Rita Wilson. There it is.
Good job. It came to you. You know, speaking of Steve Martin, on a side note, our mutual friend, Morgan Lane Bennett, my co-host in my other podcast, he was mentioning to me that Bowfinger is a much better movie than I remember it, because he's like, oh my God, that's one of the best Steve Martin with Eddie Murphy. And it's like this, it's Frank Oz directs it. So it's supposed to be this like dissection of Hollywood and the lunacy of movie making and stuff. And I watched it as a kid, not as a kid, like when it came out. So I was a teenager or something. And I remember being like, this is not funny like I was expecting a Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy movie. But I don't think I got it. Like, I think that's the point, is I didn't get the joke. So I was just left there kind of going, huh, what is this movie? So that's going on my list, or it went on my list when Morgan brought it up, and he was like, no, you need to watch that again and give it another chance. Nice.
I also, so last year I was trying to get my theater crew together to watch something fun for the holidays, popcorn, because we've had this big auditorium that we use, and we're always working, so we're not hanging out, but 10-minute breaks at a time. So we watched Mixed Nuts, but they'd also mentioned that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a holiday movie.
Oh, it totally is. All right. I don't think that Faye has seen that, so I'm gonna put that on my list of other holiday movies for the season. And then I think the boys are old enough to handle Die Hard. I gotta check that because I think that was. Is this right? Is this right? Maybe I've said this before on the show. That was the very first rated R movie that I ever watched, I think.
Oh, nice.
And my dad was like, you're old enough. You can watch it. Because I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies. I think the second movie that I watched was Predator, which I'll take credit for bad parenting here. I tried to watch that with my oldest son.
Yeah.
When he was too young. And he was like, I don't like this movie, Dad. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I thought you were going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tiny Adrianne, I think it was around 4 or 5 when we got HBO. I got HBO. I think maybe I told this story. We were, for some reason, in Seattle or traveling to somewhere, and I slipped out of the shower and like cut my head open, some back or front or whatever, got stitches and had to hang out in the hotel mostly on this like small vacation, but there was HBO there and I got to see the Fraggles and all sorts of other cool things. So my father felt guilty. Reward was that we got HBO and cable when we got home.
Oh.
So it's funny because you're talking about scary movies and I remember being terrified about The Dark Crystal. Watching The Dark Crystal around the same time that I was definitely watching boxing. There's tons of blood and gore and boxing, but also Porky's movies, Porky's Revenge and Porky, like those people are very naked. And I was probably watching action films, but still those were fine. Dark Crystal was scary.
Yeah, well, Dark Crystal is dark. It has like the Skeksis are. Did you see the Netflix series?
I haven't seen that yet. I think it's
they didn't renew it for a second season, and it makes me very sad. But it was delightful. Like it's all like the thing to watch it for is the artistry of it. Like the story is good. It's long because they're stretching it into a series.
Yeah,
but it's almost all puppets, like real fucking puppets. And then my favorite scene is they build up, this isn't too much of a spoiler because I'm not going to say who it is, but they build up to this very climactic moment where this like secret is revealed, and it's revealed in a moment when the puppets start doing a puppet show. The puppets are doing it. And they brought in this one guy on YouTube, this puppeteer who I've seen before. His name's, I want to say it's Ben something or other. I'm so sorry, I'm not getting this. But he has these incredible hand puppets that are literally your hand. So it's like, he's got a little head on here and little feet here and little feet here. And then he walks it around. And then he has another one where it's like, he's got 2 arms here and his head is his middle finger. And then his feet are down here. And so he'll like make it dance and jump. And he builds these intricate, like one of the creatures like this, its hand will actually pick things up. Like he can reach out and grab a pencil and like swing it around. So they brought that guy in who is like, it was so cool because that guy makes puppets that no one else in the world has ever made. They're unique in their design and their like performance. And to have the Muppets, the Jim Henson Company, be like, come do this show with us, and then the characters in the show do he designed the puppets that the puppets are doing a puppet show with. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and I'm sad that there won't be another one, if for no other reason than just those people need to stay in like the artistry there. I want that to be promoted and funded, and yeah, it was so good. I really liked it.
I'm actually shocked that there aren't more puppet shows happening right now. And there's a lot of things happening and like that could be happening in COVID times that I'm surprised they're not. So
yeah,
I know for sure that animation is just blowing up because I have a friend who runs an animation studio, and so he's fucking booked right now. So that's working out.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that there aren't more. So all of these studios own all of these properties for these pilots that never happened, or like there could be a lot of ridiculous and fun Zoom table reads of a bunch of things that are old property that could be very entertaining to see. Like even just theater companies, they have to get together and read plays together and decide what their show would be. And they have all these actors that are out of work.
But they did that with the Fast Times at Ridgemont High thing. Did you see that? With
I did.
Brad Pitt and all those other people?
That there aren't more of those right now.
Yeah.
I think it would be hilarious. So I just decided that probably Elizabeth Shue and Jennifer Grey, and there are probably a bunch of different actors in the 80s that were fighting for the same like iconic parts. I think it'd be really hilarious to bring them all in and have them re-audition for shows and just mix like all of the times that like somebody else was supposed to be Ferris Bueller or these other things.
Or have Tom Selleck do Indiana Jones like he was originally supposed to.
Yeah, just come in and do iconic, like come in and do reads of the things that they were theoretically. Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly.
Will Smith as Neo. He was originally going to be Neo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Anyway.
Sean Connery passed away recently, but he was supposed to be Gandalf.
Hey, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it would have helped. Like Ian McKellen is so perfect in that role. You know, I watched, speaking of movies and speaking of Ian McKellen, I watched I have never seen the Hobbit movies because I have heard they're garbage and I don't want to sit through 6 hours of extended. But I've seen people who have cut the 3 movies down into 1 movie, like fan edits.
Oh, okay.
And that is maybe how I'll give it a shot. But I remember hearing a story about how Ian McKellen broke down in tears multiple times while making The Hobbit because it was so much work and he was so fucking tired of acting to goddamn tennis balls in like giant blue rooms, and he was just like, Peter, I can't do it anymore. And like now every time I watch the Hobbit movies, I see an old gay man, a gay icon, just so fucking tired of this bullshit that he's like dressed as this old man with a big fake prosthetic nose, and he's just like, I can't not see it on his face. Right. Like that definitely is not the vibe you pick up from the original trilogy.
Right.
But in every clip I've ever seen of the Hobbit trilogy just looks like he's like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Just curious. James Earl Jones was gone before they did. Was he gone before the Hobbits?
James Earl Jones is still alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I want to see James Earl Jones Gandalf.
James Earl Jones is coming back in the sequel to Coming to America that is happening. Did you know about this?
Fucking way.
So everyone, Eddie Murphy,
Arsenio Hall.
I was like talk show host. Who am I thinking of? Yeah. Arsenio Hall. They're bringing back the writers and the director. And Amazon, like you didn't know this, Amazon Prime bought it for $200 million and it's being released for free on Christmas.
Oh, fuck. Yes. I love that movie.
Yeah. Everybody who has been a part of it has said it is finally Eddie Murphy's return to comedy in full form. So fingers crossed, because I've heard that kind of shit before with other people, but fingers crossed, because like that movie is astonishing. Like it's such a classic.
Whoa. Yeah. Arsenio and Eddie were great together too.
Yeah.
I think because he had so much practice getting in rapport with all of the famous people, including if you ever I don't know if this exists on YouTube, but if you go back and watch him even be able to interview Madonna, who was supremely difficult to interview in her like early years. So he was just sort of primed and practiced being the straight man comedian to just huge personalities.
Yeah.
Probably other people like Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy together, they were considered pretty decent. But yeah, Arsenio just holds his own in most of that movie.
Well, I listen to a lot of comic podcasts, like comedians. And one of the things I have heard from multiple people is that many of the greatest comedians you've ever heard of will flat out say, no question, the funniest human being they have ever been in the presence of is Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. Eddie Murphy is effortlessly hilarious all the fucking time. And he hasn't lost it. Like, there is a certain, like, keeping up your chops, like your comedy, stand-up comedy. So I don't know if he could just like jump back into stand-up. Yeah. But people have said, like, 20 years after he stopped, they were hanging out and a group of professional comedians are all sitting around and Eddie Murphy has them dying laughing. So yeah, he's what an odd career, right? Yeah. Like, top of the fucking world, biggest comedian ever. And then slowly but steadily, The Nutty Professor, The Nutty Professor 2, The Nutty Professor fucking 3, and then a bunch of shit like kids movie type things.
Did he find God? Did he and Prince hang out? And
that's what I was wondering. Is like what happened to his career? But then he came back in what was that? Oh shit. I want to say he did like horrible B movie, like CD movie.
I saw him in something called Mr. Church.
No, that wasn't it.
It was good.
There was a movie that came out last year where he's playing a real movie director who basically got money and sort of like The Room.
Oh,
I can.
Wasn't he? My Name is Dolomite. Didn't he do Dolomite?
That's the one. Dolomite. I heard he was amazing in it. Mm. So right now Eddie Murphy's upcoming roster is coming to America. He's gonna be in Beverly Hills Cop 4. Apparently,
I heard about that one.
And they are working on a movie called with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito called Triplets, where Eddie Murphy plays the third member of the triplets. So it's the sequel to Twins, right? So yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, and Eddie Murphy.
Fuck me.
I hope that's good. That's a great idea.
Whose Make-A-Wish was that? Some famous, like, we don't know they're dying director or writer that everybody's like, okay, but only just for you. Like, who's... That's awesome. I will watch that. That sounds awful.
Well, again, fingers crossed. It's being directed by Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 and Kindergarten Cop and Junior and Twins, the original.
That's
Twins.
The guy. You know that Ivan Reitman was the guy who was the first choice, and then he quit, dropped it. He didn't have the vibe for Galaxy Quest. He was the original director, and then they replaced him with the person who ended up doing it and actually got the more comedic type of the movie.
Yeah. Did you see the documentary about that?
I did.
That's a great movie. That is one of those classic, just showed up out of nowhere and it just nails it. Every part of that movie nails it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you end up with a documentary that's like it's like they did the fan culture, like they were able to poke fun at it while still revering it. And they straddled this line that was so hard to do.
Yeah. Well, it's weird for us to conceptualize that now that conventions are popular.
Right.
And these kinds of movies are the norm, and geeks are awesome. They're like computer geeks and Star Trek fans and people who are into sci-fi. Like, that's a big freaking deal. That's billions of dollars right now. But back then, Star Trek conventions were going for a very long time, and then it was Xena Warrior Princess conventions. Those are the two ones that are out when Galaxy Quest comes out, and like those are fringe people that you just hear about sometimes. You know, everybody's been, you're like watching the news, you know, killings, robbery, everything's horrible, and then hey, there's a lineup at the Star Trek convention. Oh, when they do their one fun things, just they're dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
How nuts is that? Oh, adorable for a show that's been off the air for over 15 years or whatever the heck. I don't know.
Okay, you had a thing you wanted to talk about today, and I need to go, so let's do it.
No, I'm not gonna. I think it's perfect.
You're gonna say it?
We're gonna talk about it. We didn't get there. I'm excited.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have 2 movies to watch. Mixed Nuts.
Yes.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Absolutely.
And then I'm also going to make sure that we watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang sometime before Christmas, but we can talk about it because it's an amazing movie, but.
Perfect. Yay!
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
thanks for being here.
Fabulous. This was fun, as always.
I thought we were great.
Yeah. No, this was top-notch podcasting right here. Yeah. Some of the best ever.
I can look forward to writing the copy about what the heck we talked about. I don't remember now.
Yeah, we have the best words.
All right, I'll see you next time.
All right. TV deeply, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.